to Nature's Neighbor. I am your host, Melanie Blankenship. Yes, soon we're going to have him coming in hot. Josh is on his way, but is not here yet. And instead of, running late and running behind, I figured we'd start the show without him until he gets here. So you're going to see this person streak by and a few. So we'll circle back and catch up with him when he gets here. So happy Monday. Again, I apologize for last Monday. I was feeling a little under the weather. There's a lot of stuff going on, not only in my personal life, but also in the world of crazy around me. So I needed a little bit of a hiatus last week, and I'm grateful I did because I felt like I could catch my breath, put my feet back down on some stable ground, and keep walking. So here we are again on the... Is this really March? I'm going to just put it out there. How is this March? We are coming off week 2.5 weeks of temperatures above 85 degrees as a high in March. This is unheard of. This is not normal. I've been keeping track of weather for myself for over 31 years, and I've never had a March be this warm this long. I've had Januaries, I've had Februaries, have a week of warmth, but never this long and never this hot. So this is a new challenge for me. I mean, that was last week. Monday too was, holy moly, this is really going to be this hot today. And sure enough, it definitely got hot. We saw in Paso Robles last week, we saw 98 degrees as a high. We've had temperatures like this before, but the difference also is we're also having nighttime temperatures that are warm. We're not getting our frost. The other night, I think the low was 57. High humidity at night. It's very dewy and very wet in the morning when I wake up to go do chores before the sun rises. But I've never seen a low in March at 57 degrees and how many days it is. So definitely some different challenges, definitely some different struggles. The grass is tall because of the rain and the coolness that we did have in the early season. But there's a lot going on. And when Josh gets here, I'm gonna dive into seasonal gardening a little, because I got a couple announcements to announce about a gardening group that's gonna start using Nature's Touch location at the last Thursday of every month, starting at 6 o'clock here. So I'm gonna go into details when Josh gets here, but I just wanted to start this conversation off with talking about the weather, because weather is definitely a discussion that is happening around us, and a lot because of these unseasonably hot days and not getting any of the coolness that we once had. And it's definitely thrown the systems off. But as you can see in front of me, a lot of good things come to these even crazy weather times. I just was having fun. My girl Sonia, that has a little vintage shop here in Nature's Touch, had a photo shop yesterday and had stuff still on the bar. So I just used it as kind of a reminder of all the work that we all do, all of us farmers. And even in the challenging weather times, weather still provides exactly what we need if we are willing to put that energy into it. And so because of these farmers that have put their time and energy into these crops months before, years before, is the reason why we have the harvest that we do today. And I want to, kind of put that out there too, because I don't know where we've been or what's going on, but I am feeling more and more like people are really, and I don't blame them, because of the weather that we're having right now is crazy. How can anybody know what the weather is going on right now? What season is it really? Is it spring? Is it summer? Is it fall? Nobody even knows. Today feels like the perfect May weather, and it's the end of March. Did you hear the door shut? Guess who's here? Guess who's coming in hot? And so here he is, guys, my co-host, Josh. Hello, Mr. Josh. Happy Monday.
Happy Monday.
It's kind of one of those days. I started off talking about the weather, because how could you not?
It's been just insanely nice. It's hard to complain about 75 and sunny, I always say, but it's warm.
It's definitely
I'm not going to
warm.
lie. It's warm for this time of year, so it's hard to get back in that groove.
And it's funny because I was saying, I'm like, it's crazy to me how the nights are not even cooling down. What the heck? Where's our cold nights? Where's our Where's the ability to be able to, know that our soils are getting the coolness? Because you guys got to remember, there's benefits even into the cold. We haven't had the amount of chill hours that we normally have. What is
really
chill
low
hours?
this year.
Chill hours are nighttime temperatures that have dropped below 32 degrees. We haven't had that.
Yeah, at least below 45.
We were late to start, and then we're early to finish, I guess. But I don't know if you've seen the extended forecast. We knew it was going to come. Next week, we have a chance of rain. Mm-hmm. It's showing night times in the 30s again. Yeah. It doesn't show frost, but it shows the 30s for us here in the North County.
Everyone wants to plant right now, and I'm like, guys, you got to look out for those late frosts because they'll get you on those new plants.
People coming in, why do you not have all the stock that you normally do? I'm like, you realize it's March.
It looks star deceiving out
I'm
there.
like, really? Like, I think I have a lot more stock than I normally do because we've received rain.
Yeah.
So I have more, but it's not the stock that is normal for this kind of weather, right? Yeah. And that's kind of where I want to get into the discussion of seasonal gardening, because do people even know what season it really is? Because
it's hard to tell out there.
I know, but if I did not go by what the soil tells me, I wouldn't know.
Yeah.
I'm honestly, I wouldn't know what to farm, what to grow, how to grow it. There's so many things about soil temperatures, soil moisture content, soil, health. What is it looking like? What is it doing? And I think that is also the issue that we all are facing in our health. What we're supposed to be doing is the fact that we look at this, right? Look at the beauty of the cornucopia. Yeah. We look at this and go, well, if I just plant, doesn't that just automatically come? I don't think people really realize the investment that it really takes to be able to get this, right?
Yeah.
We started the conversation off, Miguel needs eggs. I'm like, you better not go anywhere else because I got them coming out of my ears, literally. It's this time of the year. Chickens lay by the light, right? And so the more sunlight they get, the more they're going to lay, right? Miguel and I had a discussion about, industrialized chicken eggs versus free. Well, I hate the word free range. And you know why? Because it's so political. That's why. I'm just going to call them healthy, naturally raised chickens, okay? Yeah. And why am I going to say that? Because, a chicken is if you look at their whole anatomy, they're a range bird. They're a bird that hangs out in flocks, and they want to range. They just want to go here, they want to go there, they want to scratch, they want to do dirt baths, and then the roosters want to fight over the hot diggity dog hen, and they want to lay eggs, and they want to make babies. That's all they want to do, right? And to understand an egg, is to understand that what you're going to eat in that egg today is what that chicken was exposed to 5 to 7 days ago, right? So knowing that chicken is ranging or out in the natural soil, healing the soil, because that's what I use my chickens for.
Yeah.
So I rotate chickens to aerate soil and to help heal my soil.
Deposits of nutrients. And
yeah. Well, I had a gentleman call me, one of my neighbors today, goes, Melanie, can I stop by and get scoops of your chicken manure? And I'm like, scoops of my chicken manure? I'm like, what are you going to do? Run around my chickens and capture what they drop? And he goes, what do you mean? I'm like, my chickens are free range.
Yeah,
and I go, I just cleaned my nesting box out, but I don't really have that much manure in there. I'm like, I catch the eggs. I don't want dirty eggs. So that's clean all the time. So I don't have
when you spread it out over where you need it instead of piling it up and then spreading it
every couple weeks I'll do a big clean out, right? And then I'll go put it in an open area that I'm not going to farm in for a couple months because I need that to break down.
Yeah.
I need that to heal first. And then
that's classic permaculture. They show how one egg's produced in a backyard, setting or a range as opposed to an industrial thing, and really all those intrinsic characteristics of a chicken, how much they can be, like you said, chicken tractors. Yep. Essentially what we call it. When you put the, pen on wheels.
And that's what I'm doing. That's exactly what I'm doing. I'm using those claws of those chicken feet, right, to be able to go out and aerate. But the cool thing about chickens is they get grit, and they get bugs, and they get weed seeds, and they get, and if I don't pay attention, they get plants they're not supposed to. But the thing, comfrey, all the comfrey's trying to come up, Russian comfrey. Chickens love it. So, and actually, Miguel, when you start to crack open an egg, you're going to notice how thick our eggshells are. And it's because the amount of calcium that our chickens are exposed to naturally. I'm not feeding them calcium, but it's also the amount of Russian comfrey.
Darker yellow, too.
really dark. They're going to be, you know why? Right now is because they're getting all the greens. It's all that green grass. My egg yolk naturally, September, October, it's more pale. But that's also at the end of their peak of laying. So
yeah, that's an indication of more what they're eating. Just like milk can look differently, through the seasons, what the animals are into. So
well, and I mean it's understanding the age also too of the chicken too is crucial to knowing the health of the yolk. But yes, that deep dark yellow yolk is an indicator on how healthy the appetite of, and it's also age. Does people understand that when you crack open an egg and in the top point or more pointed pocket of the egg. So you crack it open, take out your eggs and your egg yolk. Inside the pocket where it points up, there's going to be an air pocket. There's going to be a sac in there. And that is also going to be the indicator of knowing how fresh your egg is. Most grocery store, most grocery store eggs do not have that. They don't start losing that air pocket until about 3 to 4 weeks old. Start to lose that air pocket, right? But in a grocery store, they don't have them at all. So there's a big indicator of an understanding. There's ways of finding out if it's fresh.
I noticed that in there, and I didn't know that
that's what it is. It's a fresh egg. But it's all, we don't need a sell-by date. We know. And then also, too, do you know that floating eggs, if you put a bowl of water, you put an egg in there, a fresh egg is going to sink to the bottom. If the egg has any type of buoyancy, any kind of bounce, any kind of movement in that water, it's got gas. So it's not fresh. So, when you ask me those questions, refrigerated or not refrigerated, you don't have to worry about it. I'm going to teach you other ways that you can make sure that your egg is safe, right? There's so many ways about it. And yes, Nature's Touch has eggs, by the way, please. I'm doing a whole egg and fruit and plant education today because that's what I have a lot of right now. And I told Miguel, I can farm chickens like nobody's business. Yeah. We have so many eggs right now. Those are beautiful.
And, great Easter.
All Prop 12 compliancy. Yes, state of California. I filed my all my papers and paid my dues, and I've gotten my inspection, so we're all good. But I just I need to put that out there too because there's a lot of people that don't realize it's not legal to sell an egg from a backyard, your neighborhood, nothing without an egg handler's permit and Prop 12 compliancy. It doesn't matter, barter and trade, you take $1, any of that kind of stuff. You're in business in the eggs. The state of California mandates that you have to file all proper paperwork to sell one egg. Now, not a dozen, one egg. So I'm just saying, I'm legal, so you can, come and buy my eggs legally. Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace, you kind of got to wonder. But, and I'm so grateful that the state of California keeps charging us and inspecting us, and yet most consumers have no idea
what that means,
right?
And
So just know we're doing it, right? And doing it without, no, I don't want people to wonder. There doesn't need to be a wonder. Miguel should know exactly when he wants to go buy those fresh eggs for him and his babies that he's getting the best of the best. I truly believe the people I care about, the people that are working with me, don't deserve anything better than what we can produce for them. So
that's what food should be. I would talk about that even just cooking food and stuff. It's like, if you're not willing to put love into what you're doing, why do it? You know what I mean? Like, this is not where you should be putting, money first.
Yep.
In our health care and education. And
speaking of love.
And food.
Guess what I did?
Tell me.
I have 2 baby emus.
I knew it was going to be an animal.
Starsky and Hutch. I got
2 new ones.
2 new ones.
Okay.
They were born last Monday, and I am super grateful. I want to do a little shout out for him. Donkey Hill, he's out in Lockwood. This gentleman, Roby, raises ostrich. Okay, and he has the most beautiful ostrich meat. You want to know how I know? Because we harvest his ostrich.
Yeah.
So I can't tell you, if you want to do some fun menus, you want to talk about some fun meat. So ostrich is actually a red meat.
Yeah.
It's kind of a cool observation, but it's considered, under USDA, it's considered the ray. And we have that permit to process those as well.
I've had emu, which looks so much like
we're not going to talk about
beef,
that. Okay, because so Roby,
ostrich, I'm sure, is similar.
Roby has a male and a female emu, okay? He collected, and he has a really cool incubator.
Yeah.
So he collected 3 of his eggs, of his emu eggs for me. And he's done this whole video thing of them in the incubator and then the 40s, whatever, I think it's 47 days
Okay.
that we had to wait before my new baby showed up. And so once they started hatching, he did this whole like super fun. And I have to tell you, so now I have 4, right? two in my brooder area, and then Doug and Lemu out in the open pit. Yes, people, these are not pets for the faint of hearts, okay? My husband and son are terrified of them, okay? Because they do maybe look down at you, okay?
They're head high
and
plus.
then, you know, they walk around like they're so sweet, but then a cat walks by, a dog's, and I don't know, the wind blew differently. Next thing I know, they're Mach 30 down the driveway, and you're like, whoa, how the heck did that bird really take off? And then you're like, how the heck am I going to get him back? Go get a container of blueberries and shake it. You know, bird brain. You know, there's a lot to be said about a bird brain and emus. You know, shake the case of blueberries
Boom,
and
every
boom.
time,
I'm
huh?
like, my husband, really? Those things know what blueberries are? He's like, they're not cheap, are they? And I'm like, no. But Doug and Lemu come back. But so now I have the two babies that Roby from Donkey Hill Ranch. And I know you can buy his ostrich meat online. I know he has eggs right now. He's hatching baby ostriches right now. And I also know that he does Harvest Host. You want to go and stay on a really cool ostrich farm, check him out, Donkey Hill. And so I'm doing a shout out because I don't know if you know, emu babies are not cheap, right? And he just is like, Melanie, I've had fun doing this with you. And I'm like, he literally gave me 2 emu babies, and I giggle because my husband's like, really? Why would he give you 2 emu babies? Like, can't somebody give you $1 million? No, somebody has to give you emu babies, you know? And I'm like, yes, it's like the best day on the planet, you know? So that is just, I just can't thank Roby enough to be able to say, you know, how cool it is for together, right? I help him harvest and market his ostrich. You know, there's been a couple of events that him and his wife have been out here sampling what they have, because again, ostrich is native to Africa, right?
Yeah, not common here.
No, and I mean we
have good climate for it.
Oh, they love it here.
Yeah.
They love our climate. Emus, okay, so emus are native to Australia. Oh my God, I know my geography. I was thinking about something else. Australia. There's a cool story about how the emus won the war. People need to read that because
I have seen something on that.
Yeah,
oh, wow.
yeah. It's kind of.
That's right. They could not take them down.
They could not take them down, and my husband agrees. There's a lot to be said about that, you know. But they're
400 emus is very.
They're a hardy, durable animal, and I have to tell you, you know, we raise them for multiple purposes. Yes, egg. My 2 are going to always be my loves. Those babies are going to produce eggs, and I do have a market for our raw pet food for ostrich and emu. So, you know, we got to serve that purpose. But my babies that I'm hand raising and loving is because I need them to be strong, because I'm going to get eggs from them, and then we're going to keep them going in the incubator. You know,
is emu egg close to the size of ostrich egg?
They're slightly smaller. So
it's like a dozen chicken eggs almost.
I will post pictures in my videos on Nature's Neighbors social media, okay? But okay, so an ostrich egg, round, giant, white, right? Emu egg, more like kind of an ovally, elongated shape, green, like a
robin's egg almost, right?
Yes, kind of a
turquoisey,
cobalty turquoise green. Yeah. Incredibly beautiful.
And very thick too, like
very
ostrich.
Thick,
yeah.
Very, very thick. And then once the baby, I mean, and ostriches tend to be brown, got blue necks, you know, can be dark brown, light color. Babies are perfectly striped. Like I mean, we
seen that.
Laid on the floor last night with him because Roby's wife, you know, the ones that came out of the egg, they knew her, right? So it was natural that they follow me around. You know, but I laid on the floor with them and they're pecking at me and stuff. And it is just crazy to now be a year into raising the 2 older ones and now having babies again. How drastic they change.
How quick.
They're little. They're like this big right now. And they still run. They're a little wobbly, but they still run fast, right? And then you think about where they're native to in Australia and go, how did they survive? And populate in the numbers that they populated to win that war, right? Against mankind and the wheat fields. But at the same time, it's like to see that to then this. And not
it's like kids, when they say it goes quick, it goes
but
quick.
But in a year, less than a year. It's like
animals go a lot quicker usually.
It just is mind blowing. And so again, it's one of those things, and you want to talk about, how they decompose things. Like everything they eat does not come out the other end in any shape, form of wholeness. It's crazy. But knowing the insides of an animal like that, it's crazy. Whatever they eat, they have areas in their body that they actually store it. So, in harvest, if one of these ostriches or emus had accumulated something, rope, wire, the plastic, it actually stays in there and it never breaks down.
In a safe place, though?
In a safe place. It will not hurt them. Yeah. Oh, wow. It doesn't hurt them, but it's still there. Yeah. Right? Like, and I think if they had a massive amounts of it, of course it would kill them, right? But because they're just here and there, it's not,
Well, and luckily it doesn't get entangled into the harvestable,
but the way
parts.
The inside, it's like this. Miguel and I were talking about how things break down, right? In a chicken, like, industrialized chickens that are only being fed the same thing over and over again. They're not open to, range and get that, that grit that helps that croth. Chicken has a croth, right? That's where all the E. coli and all the bacteria to break things down is. That croth is only healthy in a bird, whether it be my beautiful emus or my little tiny quail, right? In between, they all have croths. How they get that grit in that is also what helps break down materials, what they're consuming. Yeah. And so I always say that croth for us as a live chicken is our get out of jail free card. Whatever that chicken is consuming, yes, my chickens are on 100% biodynamic soil, free ranging, never had any chemicals. They don't, they're getting natural native soil, right? And a little bit of grain, and they get fed scraps.
They're getting a good balance too.
They're getting scraps from the store when Nature's Touch doesn't sell something. Yeah. I mean, it's crazy. They know my sourdough bucket. If I have too much, that I haven't used and made into something, and I'm too tired to bake, I go and give it to pigs and chickens, and it's bad. My chickens will bombard me. It's like they know. Oh, here comes lettuce. Not interested. Oh, the sourdough bucket's here. Wrong. So of course, like it's, that's what they're getting, right? But that croth, you guys, I cannot emphasize. This is like whatever it's exposed to, it's going to break down. Yeah. And it's not going to come in and be exposed to that egg. Where industrialized chickens don't have that. They have not healthy croths.
Yeah, they're not getting the grit.
No, and I truly believe that's why, in our worlds, we're starting to hear more about E. coli
disease spread.
0151. Well, where is that coming from? That's coming from harvested animals. Again, this is also why it's so incredibly important, not only in your eggs, but in your meat, to know the full exposure of how that animal was harvested, how it was handled, and what temperature it was kept at. Notice how I was teaching you about the danger zones, Miguel. Like the danger zones of temperature is incredibly crucial. Yeah. So you take an egg from a chicken.
Foods, raw foods, all that.
A chicken that's in a clean nesting box. Okay, you can eat out of my nesting boxes. I'm avid about my nesting boxes being clean. Okay, because you know why? I don't want a bunch of dirty chicken eggs. Like I don't, I think it's gross. So naturally, when that chicken lays that egg, there is a coating on the outside of that egg that is actually a protectant of that egg. Again, remember what an egg is for. An egg is for a chicken to carry on its own life, okay? It's not for you to eat. Yeah. It's naturally for a chicken to carry on its own life.
So there's that period that it's supposed to be held.
3 to 4 weeks is where that if you don't wash that egg and you keep it under 50 degrees, it is going to stay in the safe zone. Now, mind you, I'm referencing to chickens that are in an open pasture, in a clean environment, being fed clean and honest. I'm not going to be just about organic, but it's just clean, guys. Knowing what we're doing, not just somebody told me, oh, well, I went into Home Depot or I went to somewhere and I just bought it, right? Like, no, you actually have to know what you're doing a little bit, okay? So you can keep those out of the refrigerator, okay? The public health department, if I'm selling an egg, now that's for you to eat in your own home, okay? If I'm going to sell an egg, remember, I'm going to take $1. I'm in business with the state of California. Whether I think I'm in business or not, if I take $1 in the state of California, I'm in business. So I want to sell my eggs. I want to recoup some of the cost I put into my chicken pens, whatever
like
I'm doing. I want to be able to, I want to be able to do what I want to do with my chicken. So I'm required to wash, sanitize, but I don't. But I didn't say that on my podcast, did I? Yes, I did. Wash safely and refrigerate. And our refrigerators are checked, and my
And you like
everything's
cold water over warm water.
Yes, cold. I do cold water.
Because you don't want the membrane to take some of that in. And so if you're using a warmer water, you might allow the things you're trying to wash off to get inside the membrane zone.
Cold water.
Little caveat, I knew that.
So again, I do the preventative measures in the beginning. The nesting boxes, everything is cleaned. Everything is collected twice a day, morning and night. So nothing sits in there. And and I have help doing that. So my girls that work for me, they live with us. So that's also, how I'm able to do this. So that's what the difference is in a refrigerated egg and a not. But the moment I wash that egg, that membrane is gone.
Yeah.
So I have to keep it refrigerated after, or keep it in a safe temperature. You feel those right now. They're still cold because
you can only sell them washed and like sanitized.
Refrigerated, yes. Yeah. We have to meet public health laws, and that is you cannot sell eggs without them being refrigerated. So that's, it depends on what inspector you might get or whatever, but all my inspectors come in and the first thing they do is check refrigeration temperature.
I mean, regulation is supposed to do something good for us.
and the sad thing is again, I'm not opposed to any of it because I look at what I'm teaching, right? I knew this in farming because my thing has always been about health, food. Yeah. Healthy food to me is healthy food, not I need to hit it with a bunch of fertilizer and whatever chemicals. I want healthy food because what is my goal in my life is to carry on.
Yeah.
And my carry on is not just in my life, it's in my children, it's in everything I produce and everything I do. And so that is where I know I cannot carry something on if something is not healthy. And so that is where the goal of what I'm doing serves its purpose. Yeah. Okay? So it's not in an egg, just in an egg, or the blueberry that should carry a seed, right? What's the difference? The seed in the blueberry versus an egg. This blueberry is supposed to bear its fruit with the seed for the next generation, right? So that's what this is all about. The fruits of our labor, right?
That's why these look attractive, so that you'll move the seeds around.
Right? But then also too, what's the rotting process about? Rotting process is what it feeds those seeds. Have you ever had a cherry tomato out in the garden and you didn't harvest them all, and that cherry tomato dropped a bunch of seeds? It naturalized in that soil. And next year you have a ton of babies. New babies all over the place because it went through the rotting process. It fed its seed.
I got them up already in my cherry tomato garden beds. They're coming through the sidewall of the...
We're warm. Yeah. And that's the thing, guys. I will have medium and large tomatoes. There was a comment made on a Facebook social page that I don't do as much as I used to, so don't bother coming. And I agree. I am not going to grow 213 varieties of heirloom tomato plants that I used to because I don't have the clientele or the water, soil. I don't have, I can't, I want to get
the market.
I want to get my potting soil guys to come in and start talking. Potting soil to me is not biosolids and a bunch of junk. Potting soil is compost and something is life. I can't make my own potting soil in the state of California under the current regulations that are in play right now. So I have to rely on others. And I'm going to tell you, most people don't want to pay $45 for a 3-inch size pot, right? Because that's what it would cost if I keep making it to be able to produce that plant legally.
Yeah.
Right? So I rely on the other nurseries right now. We're talking about what they're growing. I support other growers that do have some resources, but I'm going to be honest with you. I'm shocked at my availabilities. Most of our nurseries are not growing what they used to. They're not growing the abundance of what we used to.
They've definitely shrunk.
And yes, there's going to be varieties that I do have seed for, guys, but I'm going to choose not to grow them this year. And the reason is because I don't have that many, and I don't have land to put them in to grow them out to get seed for the next year.
Yeah.
I'm not that person that thinks that I'm going to allow Jeremiah Gettle, the owner of Baker's Creek Heirlooms, just to keep supplying me seeds. I admire the man. I've met him before. I love what he built. Yeah. Oh my God, he's an incredible. If you ever want to go to a fun farm show, you need to go to the Ozarks and go and see Jeremiah and what they've produced. Yeah. I'm hands down the best company in this country when it comes to seed selling. Yeah. But I need to be able to have my seed library, and I would rather store that seed than grow it and wonder if somebody is going to come and buy it. Yeah. Now, if we were in November, October, November, what I was doing. I was at farm conferences. I was gathering with other farmers. other small gardeners, small business people. That's what you guys know I was in Wisconsin. What was I doing? Hanging out with other people. They're like, hey Mel,
freezing your butt off.
What do you, well, that too. What are you going to grow this year? What are you going to do this year? Like, what's your inventory of this? That I know what I'm going to grow by January. Mm-hmm. So if you're going to walk into Nature's Touch in April and want Melanie stuff, you needed to talk to me in October and November, right? That's when I had my inventories. And again, seasonal, right?
Yeah.
It's not just, how do we know what season is? For me, it's when nature tells me it is.
Yeah.
But aren't we all supposed to be living by what nature says we are? Like right now, nature is telling us we're hot. Everybody's going to talk about hot.
Yeah.
But everybody doesn't realize it's still March because they are not connected with the soil they're standing on.
Yeah. Well, just living in our means. I mean, we can't put all of our wants on, Melanie to grow everything for us. And I think that's where kind of really creating more of that club atmosphere and that club environment. It's like, oh, you really looking forward to certain tomatoes this year and stuff. Well, we know you could turn them on to the seed at least, if not the fruit. So, people having a little more accountability for what they're doing and then sharing across their communities so that, they don't have to be without something they really want to do. But, instead of putting it in someone else's hands or putting on someone else's, shoulders, I really think that having those outlets that people can start to, more fit their needs and their niches of where they live. For me, I really, know which, foods I can grow in which cities and which part of the county and all that stuff. So Los Osos, it's like, it's cherry tomato city.
Tomato, buddy. With thick skins because they don't like that fog. And
then up here we're getting all these other great varieties.
These are greenhouse. Those are marvels, and then black creme, and then Anima
Pineapple
orange. No, those are Anima. That's a beefsteak type.
Oh, okay.
Densed in meat. They're greenhouse. They bought plug trays for me into September, and then they grow them out in greenhouses, and I get the fruit for Nature's Touch.
Yeah, this is why I live in California right here. This is our winter harvest.
Right?
Ton of citrus, hothouse tomatoes, avocados are hanging on the trees right now still. The bees are up and
But
going.
what are you planting? You're planting artichokes. You're planting California natives. Look at this apricot mallow.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
I know. It's true California native. You want to talk about
all the way down to Baja.
You want to talk about nectar source? Holy moly! This thing provides so much nectar, and this is
beautiful color.
This is small on the average of what they, they're a lot more bushy. It's in a nursery
container.
They get
about that tall and that wide around.
But it's bushy, really bushy, and they're blooming right now in the wild. Oh my gosh, you're so dramatic and so beautiful. Drought tolerant. Plant it now because the soil's still wet and cool enough, warm enough, so it's not going to shock. But it's it's still wet and cool. You'll get this thing drought tolerant pretty quickly where you're not going to have to irrigate it and keep it going.
Definitely. They like it all the way.
Speaking of clubs, so I've kind of been hanging out and just doing different groups with people and just my want is something different. Like I'm tired of coordinating, as you know, tired of always being the one that has to put everything together. And so I've been, just showing up at different little garden groups. And there's a group called the North County Garden Hose that are just a group of women from Atascadero. And they started their little gardening group for just sharing resources, exchanging, and just being a part. They lost their location that they were meeting at before. And so starting this coming up Thursday, which is the last Thursday of the month, is when their groups 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock. They're going to meet here at Nature's Touch.
Nice.
So 225 South Main Street, guys. So there's no charge. I'm gonna teach people how to make compost, and they're gonna talk about irrigation. And I'm gonna bring some. If I can get into my attic, So I had an old Israeli friend when I was just starting out farming. He gave me some Hebrew writing. Said he translated for me about how Israelis created irrigation.
The drip irrigation.
The drip irrigation. And so I'm going to try to find that and share that with them. And that kind of thing. Like everybody's looking for research. Everybody's looking for the how-tos. And, people, there's nothing more rewarding, even for me, you guys. Like, yes, I've grown a lot. I enjoy, not just plants, but in animals too. Like you can see me, I can talk plants and animals all day long and kids. But at the same time,
anything babies, you're good.
I'll be honest with you. Like last year for me was realizing that my 27 years, that's how many years I've been married, of propagating rose cuttings from either my great-grandma, my grandmas, my aunts, my cousins, travel. Yes, I might be the one that put stuff in my luggage because I took a cutting from a mission in San Diego. I made sure that it was clean and cut, but then I never sold it or never moved it. I quarantined it and I treated it, made sure that it was good, but then I planted it in my own garden.
Yeah.
My rose garden last year was like, it almost makes me kind of tear up because like there's a rose that I call it the Savannah rose because my really good friend, Marita Barrett. So her husband was Buster Barrett. Was an old Hollywood screenwriter who wrote shows like Some Like It Hot, like the old, when Hollywood was good, okay? Wow. They lived here in Templeton.
Marilyn
and when
Monroe
Savannah was
and
born, she brought me a cutting of her rose. And she called it something, and because she knew how I was, And I can't tell you how many times I've divided that and propagated. Savannah's 20. And so, like, that rose last year was the stunner of all stunners, right?
Wow.
Like, so this is what I'm
the
saying.
Connections it makes.
The connections are unreal. Like, and my, skull cap, my self-heal, all these medicinal herbs that I have been growing for 35, 40 years, in the world. I used to run Sycamore Herb Farm. Yeah. So what did I do? A plant that used to look crappy, that was going to get put, was going to go in a compost pile. I took it home and rehabilitated it. Now I have it coming out of my ears.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
absolutely.
So like that, or, hey, Melanie, will you come help me with my garden? And then I start planting things with them. And then, Melanie, I'm moving. Can you come and take some cuttings from here so we don't lose it? And then guess what's in my garden? This is what this group is really exciting about. And that's for me, like everybody there is like looking to want to better their garden or be a part of, in a deeper connection of their garden or in food too, which is super fun. But for me, it's just that right there. It's like any change or any differences that somebody's going through, I can help save something, maybe move it to my garden. But the biggest thing I'm starting to realize, just like Marita Barrett in her rose garden. She used to live out in Hidden Valley Ranch. And come on, it's old Hollywood. Their ranch and their farm and their house was absolutely stunning. And, I walked hours in her rose garden. And, I miss those connections with people. But now I'm realizing I want those connections with the next generation. Because I'm not Marita yet, because Marita was, a retired Hollywood wife, but at the same time, I want to be that. Like, I want to be that person that's not just a businesswoman, because I need to be a businesswoman to be able to keep my lights on and to be able to keep our podcast going, right? Yeah. And be able to do this. But I want to be that one that's like, I'm new to gardening, but I would really like to get into medicinal herb growing, or I want to get into, an antique flower collection, or I want to get into, I want to supplement my grocery bill. I'm that person. I can teach you all of that, and I can share with you.
Well, that's what we should do, is bridge from generation to generation, right? And I think as we get older, it really becomes so much more apparent, and you get more and more towards the end of time where, it's your legacy that you're passing on, because it's the only thing that you can leave behind. And having a plant that somebody like you grew from somebody before, right? And then it continuing, that's something that can stay.
Legacy, one more thing I got to share. Speaking of legacy, Thursday of this week, that same day I have a garden group at night, early in the day, my grandmother, Ramona Hernandez, is retiring for the Black Oak Motel after 65 years.
Wow.
So we're getting so her last day is March 31st. But so don't be surprised next Monday, whenever the 31st is. When is the 31st? So after the 31st, Miguel, you might have an assistant. Okay? So my grandma might be here. I'm not going to tell you how old she is, but she's still driving. We had lunch on Friday, and I have to tell you the conversations that we had, and then I ended up going to my mother-in-law's hair salon because I had to do some paperwork. And my mother-in-law and my grandmother are close in age, right? And then there was another lady named Lou, who, if you are in North County and you're, been a part of any North County women's group, Lou, okay? So all three of them were in the salon together. Oh my gosh. I'm like, I sat back and went, holy criminy, I am super, super lucky because what they have taught me, what they have showed me, some things I don't want to talk about, but you know, the things that
right there.
Legacy.
Yeah,
Legacy. My mother-in-law has been cutting hair in Paso Robles for 30, no, sorry. My husband was young, so like 47 years.
Wow.
50 years, yes. And she's still driving. And I'm just going to tell you, we're the new owners of Uptown Hair Studio because Sunday morning breakfast, 10 o'clock at her house. Door's always open, guys. If you want to come over for breakfast, that's what we do. Yeah. I might be in my work clothes still because I had just done chores and I go to her house for breakfast. We sat down and a couple months ago and some tragedy had happened to the owner of there where she was renting.
Yeah.
And she came to us and said, I want another year of working. And I'll never forget the look on my husband's face. It's almost kind of like the same look he gave me when I said I'm going to open up a retail store with, you know, saying I also wanted to start a family at the same time too. You know, so, you know, I think my husband might have married somebody like his mother. But anyways, so she, you know, she wanted to work another year. I mean, and we both sat back and giggled and said, why not? She's healthy. She's strong. You know what makes both of them the maddest in our society? Why are you still working? What is it financial? It is not financial, right? Those women can have whatever they want, do whatever they want. But it was crazy because after talking with both of them, I'm going to try not to cry because both of them on Friday and it was random, right? Nothing was planned. It was totally random. Both of them were talking about how they don't even talk about all the things that they are doing because most of the people they're talking to are 10 to 15 years younger than them, if not more. And they look at them like they're crazy because my father-in-law built my mother-in-law a gazebo 25 years ago. It was over at my house. And she lives in the new house. I live in the old house, okay? It was over at my house. My husband and son said that they don't want to see it go to waste. So they got the tractor and they structured it and they moved it over to her house. They re-screwed it back together beautifully. She painted it. And it was kind of like, in a way, a memorial for my father-in-law because of when he built it, right? So guess what she's doing now? Her granddaughter brought her some bricks over. Josh, you and your hardscape landscape, I might have a new employee for you because that lady can lay brick like nobody's business. Wow. And they brought a trailer load of bricks to her. And she is doing a whole brick patio around her vintage gazebo. And like I'm like, did you tell her that you don't have time? Because you know, I'm watching
herringbone or basket weave. Is she
she's doing she has this path that she's just following the path, and it's beautiful.
Yeah.
But I'm like, do you tell people that you can't do that because you're out at night with the headlight doing it? You know, I mean, after she got done weed whipping when the sun went down, and then she puts on her headlight and she's working on her bricks. I cannot tell.
Like that anymore,
no, and my grandmother, like my own grandmother, is just like her. So I'm what the heck?
I've seen her down here.
So. Oh, I know. It was. Why aren't you cleaning? You need to hurry. Like, it's awesome. Well, Mija, why haven't you done this yet? Grandma, I just started. I know, Mija, you need to hurry up. You know, it's like, so, like, I can't tell you when it talks about legacy.
Yeah.
I have a huge legacy I have to live up to, you know? And, you know, I can't believe that 65 years, I cannot thank the Blacks in the Macia family enough. They're the ones who own the Black Oak Corner and Black Oak Motel. I grew up on that corner. I grew up in that pool. I grew up in that hotel. The people, like I can talk about Marita Barrett because of Templeton, but I can't tell you, you know, nothing like dancing with MC Hammer in the parking lot at the Black Oak Motel. You know, I met Tim McGraw 3 times, and dude, he was freaking hot when he was young, and all the girls were following him. Like, there's so much of that like Old Town Paso has stories. And my grandma, because she was a head housekeeper, they were like sun up to sundown during the fair, right? Mija, you're at grandma's. You get in the car, let's go. There was no ifs, ands, or buts. You had to go to work. You know what I mean? Yes, we worked our butts off, stripping beds, running the laundry room, you know, moving the carts, like everything. We could not stop. My aunt and I and my mom, mostly. The younger generation of my grandma's grandchildren, they're spoiled. They didn't have to do it. But at the same time, it's like,
they didn't get all the stories, though.
No, they didn't get the experiences. They didn't, but they also didn't get, they're still awesome. Like my My brother didn't get it. My cousins didn't get it. Like, but they're still, because of who my grandma is.
Yeah.
And my grandpa. And I mean, it's my mom and my aunt.
Yeah.
You know, it's I feel sorry for our
But
kids.
hard work equals something that's very intangible, and it's really good to have.
How about holding on? How about when you are doing a job that you don't see the importance? Most people would have never stuck it out in a housekeeping job like my grandma has. Like, I cannot tell you how honored I am, because she took that. She is, you know, comes from a lot of kids Mexican family.
Yeah.
And everybody was telling them they couldn't.
Yeah.
Right? My grandma never heard that. She just kept going and never stopped. And I cannot say how much I am so proud to be her granddaughter.
Yeah.
And to be able to be 51 years old. She's 40 years older than me. She turned 40 on April 23rd, and I was born May 8th. So this is how, you know, and I'll tell you, I was the bratty child that was like, Mom told me no, I was going to grandma's, you know, and grandpa's, and, you know, I never got told no, but I got told how to, and I got told where my ethics and my morals should stand. And I can't tell you how much more proud.
Valuable that is. Yeah, that's awesome.
And
to have that.
I look forward to, I mean, I'll be honest, she's mad. She doesn't want to quit. You know, she doesn't.
Sure.
She's like, what am I going to do? I'm like, you can hang out with me. I'll keep you busy. She's like, all right, Mija, be careful what you wish for. You know, like, that's what I'm getting all the time.
She's going to keep going, that's for sure.
No, and I'm super, super grateful, you know, of this time.
Yeah.
Because honestly, that's all it is time. We choose how we want to spend our time.
It's the
right?
most precious resource, for sure.
And it's never,
when it gets down
in
to
our
it.
lives, yes, we would dream to be billionaires now. Millions not going to get me what I really want, but I need billions, you know, but at the same time, it's not even, we don't even need that.
Yeah.
Because we had time, you know? We really did have time.
Yeah, the time together is so worth it, and that's where all these things can happen too. You don't even need money to really produce most of the things we need in life, and, you know, putting that time in together. So, yeah, spend that with everyone you love, and, you know, teaching others. So, yeah, look forward to your celebrations and your clubs. Group, so that's cool.
The garden group is open to anybody, too. So, again, it's Thursday.
Not just hose.
No, not just hose.
Yeah.
No, not the garden.
Some rakes.
Yeah. We need some shovels.
Some shovels would be good in there.
We need some shovels.
Huh?
We need some rakes. You know, we might need some harvest baskets.
Oh, there you go.
Know? So we might need those.
Yeah, many hands make light work. So it'd be really
yeah.
great to see, you know, especially in the garden, you know, there's so many things, like you said, to learn.
Very informal, very just welcoming.
Yeah.
You know, it's the test and trial, right? It's, you know, there's so many other little, like, multi-floor garden club, and there's a North County gardener. Like, there's these groups that are formed that are charging to be a part of their group, or which we respect. We don't want to take anything away from that, but this is just, you know, a group of women and men. Actually, there was a gentleman that showed up at last one. Oh my gosh, he melted me, and I loved. He came from Guam.
Okay.
And he doesn't understand this past rebel's climate and his water bill in Paso. Oh my gosh, he made my night, because the questions that he was asking, everybody else was like, I'm like, I'll answer that. Like, you know, this is why, this is how, this is what you need to do. Like, I'm like, don't fear that. That's normal, right?
Knowing your place, yeah.
Know the time. He goes, but I'm like, no. You're not in Guam anymore. Like, you know, there's that saying that you're not in... you're not in Kansas anymore.
Dorothy.
You're not in Guam anymore, right? So it's like...
that's for sure with this climate change.
This is...
Yeah.
I say it in the beginning of the show. Like, I've kept record for myself for years, right? So from what I've been doing. I've always had a January. I've always had a February that has had a week of, like... I mean, when Savannah's born 20 years ago, it was 100 degrees, and I had her in Twin Cities because I have a cesarean. And they couldn't get their air conditioner to turn on. It was so hot in that hospital. It was awful. And then the next week I had her home, we had record amount of snowfall at my house. We never get snow. Like, so when I was snowed in with a 3-year-old, a newborn baby, and a cesarean, and this 3-year-old that never understood why he had to stay in a house. You know, and why would I worry? He had his dog. His dog takes better care of him than mom did, so he's out.
Yeah.
Like, it's snowing. You don't know what's
running around
snowing.
my dog when I was little like that through the country.
No, we had a a big, large Armenian Gamper that stood at 4.5 feet tall. So, Cody and Venom out on the ranch, I was one of those mothers. I didn't have GPS at that time. And I'm like, I hear the screen door slam. Oh, Cody. Yeah, Mom, I'm good. We're going to go squirrel hunting. I'm like, oh my God, at 3? This is the life that we live. And it's, I'll be honest, it hasn't changed. He's still
it's still there. So.
He's still doing it. So, but that's weather is changing. It's always changing. And what can we predict? Nothing. That's what I'm trying to explain to people. It's instead of wondering what, how about we know now? And what we can know now is that this is today. And this is what we're standing on. And this is what we can do with what we're standing on.
You still got to respond, whether you complain or not.
We got to plan for the future, right? We got to plan for it. But the thing is, planning for the future is not a guarantee. Nothing is a guarantee. Mm-hmm. Can you imagine what my grandmother and my mother-in-law have seen or in their plans and what they've, I hear it all the time. My grandma always says, I didn't plan for this. I hear her say it. And I mean, it's mostly referencing to my mom, right? The loss of my mom, her daughter. She didn't plan to outlive my mother, but this is what I'm saying. You live today for today.
Yeah.
But you got to plan for the future. And the thing is every day, if you could take that step forward every day and go, okay, this next step is going to not be about me. It's going to be about the future. What am I going to do to plan for that future? Yeah. And it's not necessarily about money. It's about maybe simplifying and going, I'm going to let those feelings go and focus more on these feelings.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, time only goes one direction, so.
Yep.
Adelante, siempre adelante.
Seriously.
Is the saying,
yep.
The way it is, so.
And then, she wants to be a guest on the show. You might have to say hi because you're on. We're live right now too. So I got 5 minutes.
Oh, introduction.
When you walk in to Nature's Touch on Monday nights, you never know if you're going to get recorded or not. Yeah. See? Oh, you got a voice.
You're here.
Yes, you got a voice. So, yes, we're talking about weather. Do you have any questions you would like to ask us on the show? Do you have any gardening questions?
The produce up there looks amazing.
Yeah.
Isn't it pretty? It's just
we're going to eat well tonight.
It's kind of what it is. There's a greenhouse, but, I think they're going to have to just take the tops off the greenhouse and call it good because it's already summer. It's a little bit challenging with this heat and uncertainty, but, you always get what you put out, right? So what are we going to put out next, Josh? I'm still working soil and managing weeds.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I still got my cover crops in, and I'm trying to get people to hold off on, planting tomatoes and things up here. And even at the coast, we don't get the good weather, that's warm enough to ripen up till late. So I don't think there's any reason to rush into,
talk
the
about
next planting
tomatoes.
season.
Tomatoes, people don't realize on that seed packet, it's going to say days, right? It's going to say 65 days or it's going to say 104 days. What does that mean? That means that plant has germinated from seed and it's 2-leaf. And then once that 2-leaf, from that point on is when it's going to count the days, right?
Yeah.
Those 65 days or 104 days. Average, a seed germination is 7 to 14 days if your soil temperature is above 75 degrees for tomatoes. So understanding that right there is soil temperature, right? So 2-leaf, 75 or 65 days until you're going to see it flower. Mm-hmm. So, 24 hours opportunity for pollination. Tomatoes, it happens at night. 75 degrees is an average temperature, atmosphere temperature, that those flowers need for the male to throw its pollen out to blow back on those females on those tomato plants. Mm-hmm. So when do we get 75-degree nights? Yes, we were in the 50s.
During the fair?
During the fair, yeah, exactly. That's the only time. So you can plant now, you can water, you can, and guess what? It's just going to hang out. And then remember, it doesn't count the days unless you get to those high temperatures or those average temperatures. You start getting back into the 60s, 60-degree daytime temperatures, you're going to start minusing those days, right? So what should have been 75 days is now become 140 days because you got exposure to too much cold. Yeah. So understanding it's not about jumping ahead and unless you have a greenhouse, unless you can
change the climate.
And you can push a button and control that atmosphere temperature, right? Yeah. I can't push a button out there. I would like to, but I can't push a button out there. So I have to allow the tools that nature has provided me to be allowed to understand what I'm supposed to do.
And I think that knowledge just really is something that you put that back into, food growing, and a lot of people are going to be a lot more successful and not as dependent upon everyone else doing it for them. So
Exactly.
I think those are the things that hopefully in the gatherings and the clubs and people getting together, and with people that know, and have
It's
a
not
legacy
about what I can do
to
for
pass
you.
on.
It's what you can do for yourself. Like,
Yeah.
I think I just
Ultimately, yeah.
twisted that. But what did a former president once say?
Shame on you.
Don't ask what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country.
There you go.
I'm just saying. I'm quoting presidents now, guys. But understand. But it's don't ask me what I can do for you. What can you do for yourself? Because
Yeah.
I don't know the soil that you're standing on.
Well, that's the thing of
but I don't
teaching,
know
right?
your
You're
soil.
always like, how can I get this into their, life or into their head that this is what they need to have to go forward, and like that's what we're wanting to pass on.
The quickest way I can turn a conversation on what to grow is where do you live? That's all I ask. Where do you live? And
Yeah.
everybody goes, what do you mean, where do I live? And I'm like, where do you live? I can't, what I can grow here, you're not going to be able to grow. Or I can't grow what
Or
you
win.
can grow. Win.
Yeah,
And look
timing.
at, this is an example. He's a coastal boy. I'm an inland girl. What he can grow. Did you hear cherry tomatoes is the only thing he can get to produce on the coast. And they have really thick skins. You have to bite into them because that thick skin comes from the fog where I just melt in my mouth. Ha-ha. But I don't get those. And I don't get those.
No.
And I don't get those. So,
Or the fish in the ocean.
Yeah, but I got
or the
beef.
mussels.
And I got
we're close
I
enough.
got
We get
ostrich.
it. Yeah.
So Donkey Hill, check out Donkey Hill. Come and hang out with us on Thursday night, starting at 6 o'clock here at Nature's Touch for the gardening group. Tons of food. Please come buy eggs. Please. Can I ask of anything? Just buy eggs. I have so many eggs.
The prices come down.
Prices come down.
all-time highs, so.
I'll make deals. Okay. So, anything else? Final thoughts?
No, it's good.
All right. Happy week. We'll chat next. Take care.
Peace.